This is Tyler Matzik, and you're watching On Deck with Tyler Redmond.
Got a pretty good team this year. You guys are currently a wild card team. You know, knocking on the door of first place in the National League East. How do you feel about this team?
I think we had a great team. I think we got a great chance. Because our starting pitching's been doing great. Our lineup's banging. Bullpen's been doing a pretty good job. So we just stay this course. I think we have a very good chance of winning this division. And you know, when that happens, you know, hopefully we get a good spot in the in the tournament, and we can take the trophy again.
If they can win in Atlanta, if they can perform in Atlanta and get some of those games back, which I believe they can, then the Braves could set themselves up for success. They can make a run in September.
This is Matt Olson. You're watching On Deck with Tyler Redmond.
Well, this is when the Braves are going to catch the Mets. This is when the Braves are really going to make a drive to catch up to the Mets in the division. Because, you know, earlier in the year they had a 10.5 game lead. It was a different perspective. Now, the Braves have already caught the Mets. And I know they're a half game back, but they've caught the Mets. That being said, this is their last chance right here, this couple of week stretch, for them to get ready for that series with the Mets in Atlanta. This is a chance for them to either add on to their lead if they're leading, again, take the lead again, or a chance to extend their lead, whatever the case may be. This is their last chance to bolster whatever they're going to have going into the series with the Mets in Atlanta. This is it.
Hi, this is Phil Necro. You're watching On Deck with Tyler Redmond.
I think this is a very good team. I think they can make a run at a postseason. They're well in the wild card race right now. But that being said, you know, if you want to set yourself up for, you know, a profitable postseason, I look at it and I look at October right now, and I think you got to win the division.
I'm Luke Jackson. You're On Deck with Tyler Redmond.
Luke, you've been one of us this year. You've been a fan this year.
Yeah, it's been different.
Tell me what you see out of this current Braves team.
They're just as good or better than last year. Like, they're clicking on all cylinders, 1 through 9. The back end of the lineup is just absolutely incredible right now. Starting pitching's great, bullpen's great. I mean, they're proving it. Like, the record's going to be, you know, insane. We're hunting down the Mets right now. You know, couple big series coming up, so we can get some traction, get going. The guys look good, and I'm excited. I hate off days, though. As a fan, it's the worst, man.
It is the worst, but it means I can come interview you guys, so I'm thrilled with it.
This is Kyle Wright, and you're watching On Deck with Tyler Redmond.
That's obviously the most important series going forward. No doubt about it. You get swept there, could be detrimental to the season either way. If you lose that series, it could be detrimental to the season. Heck, the Braves may have to sweep that series. The Mets may have to sweep that series. Whatever the case may be, that series is the biggest series of the year for both teams.
Hello, baseball fans. You're watching On Deck with Tyler Redmond.
You guys, I have been waiting all night to get on here. I could not wait. It was driving me crazy. Didn't want to jinx anything, so we waited till after the game. And what a game it was. The Braves win. They sweep the series versus the Mets. Something that I think all of us thought, you know, was certainly possible, but very unlikely. And it managed to happen. Charlie Morton pitched well enough for the Braves to get the victory. The bullpen pitched well. Kenley Jansen pitched well. And you know what? I remember earlier this week speaking to Ron Washington about this series and talking really before last night's game against Max Scherzer. If this team goes out and plays its brand of baseball, they can beat anybody. They proved it in 2021, and they proved it tonight. They swept the Mets, a huge advantage going forward. Real quick, wanted to talk about the key players of this series, offensively anyway. These two guys, Dansby Swanson and friend of the channel, Matt Olson. We interviewed him earlier this year. Interviewed Dansby a few years back as well. But both of these guys absolutely killed it this series. In the past 3 games, they even out to go 6 homers between the both of them, 3 apiece, 9 RBIs, and guys, they absolutely killed it. Both of them each hitting a homer in each game of this series. They showed up when it mattered, and that is key here. Now, before we get into the chat, and I know it is going to be wild tonight. I know you guys are active in the chat. I really need a favor. Like this video. It really does help get this out there to Braves fans, baseball fans. You know what? Get it out there to Mets fans. Let them hear us. we want to talk about this series, and we want to talk about what the Braves got to do going forward. It's pretty simple. If the Braves were to have won tonight, which they did, this is what it looks like. You have 3 games with the Marlins, which you would have had no matter what, but you only have to win one of these. You can win tomorrow, you can win on the 4th, or you can win on the 5th. The magic number is 1. That is a big advantage headed into the final series because alternatively, the Mets have a tough road ahead. They have to count on the Marlins sweeping the Braves. That is what they need to win the division. So, if you're going to be a team, you'd much rather be the Atlanta Braves right now. And because we just had a huge win. We also, with this win, take the tiebreaker. There is no game 163. There is no tying anymore. There is no game 163. There is a tiebreaker. Head-to-head matchups. The Braves have officially won the head-to-head matchups count. And at one point during the season, I think a lot of us thought that was impossible. We'd never see the day. And today is that day. October 2nd is that day. And how fitting. This felt like October baseball because it is October baseball. The playoffs started last Friday. This is a big deal. This is huge for the Braves. They are 1 game away for their 5th straight division title, and how nice it is to finally say that, to go into Miami. You don't have to face Sandy Alcantara. If you win tomorrow, you can really rest everybody headed into the postseason. You can give everybody a little work, and you can rest everybody. The Mets, alternatively, are going to have to play out with a full head of steam, and it's going to be interesting to see how they conclude their season. And we could match up with the Mets, theoretically, at some point in the postseason, but this was a big deal. This makes the Braves more than likely not have to go into a wild card series, which is, again, a huge deal. It should not be overlooked. Now, again, before we go into tonight's chat, do me a favor, again, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and if you are a Braves fan, a baseball fan, a Mets fan, I don't care. If you like baseball, we want you here, so subscribe to the channel. Also, if you want to turn on the notifications so that you know when we go live, I'd really appreciate it. But again, thank you for tuning in tonight. You could be anywhere right now. You decided to come here. Thank you for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. And a reminder, Super Chats do get priority. Super Chats put you first in line to talk to me. That is how you get a direct line to me. Otherwise, we're just going to go through the comments and talk to you one by one. And we're going to kick it off tonight with Bruce Taylor, who drops in a Super Chat. He says, "This is the most complete Braves playoff team ever. They just swept the Mets with perfect pitching and the home runs. Yes, we love the home runs." And that's really the key to the Braves offense. Obviously tonight, Dansby Swanson and Matt Olson were the keys to that. Both of those guys, friends of the channel, have given us a lot and given us their time for interviews. But those guys were phenomenal this series. I cannot say that enough. The home runs were great. And it wasn't just those 2 guys, but those 2 guys, again, absolutely killed it in this series. And I don't want to overlook them. And headed into the postseason, I remember... I was talking to a buddy of mine. All he kept talking about before tonight's game was Matt Olson's slump, how he was struggling a month before. I don't care, because if the Matt Olson that played tonight is going into the postseason, we are in for a fun show out of Matt Olson. Dansby Swanson, you know what? Look, the guy has been phenomenal all this year. How fitting it is for him to show up at a time like this. And you know what? We didn't see very much of Edwin Diaz, and the moment we did, the game was not on the line. This was a huge deal for Atlanta, and it starts in the front office. It starts, really at drafting. It starts at, all the way back to rebuilding and retooling the farm system. That's when it started. So credit to the Braves front office, credit to Alex Anthopoulos, credit to Brian Snitker. The way he managed the pen tonight and for this series was great. Hopefully that'll continue throughout the postseason. But you know what? Credit to everybody within the Braves. I mean, no one had a bad series. This was a great series, and what a momentum, shifter for the Braves. I mean, you got to think they have the momentum. This is a big series. Everybody in the baseball world nationally was talking about this series, and it sets up well for the Braves headed into the postseason. It's starting to feel like the team did last year. That momentum, that energy is starting to happen again in 2022 like it did in 2021. So how exciting it is. Again, want to thank Bruce Taylor for the Super Chat. All the Super Chats really help the channel, and you know what? I'm expecting a big chat tonight. I'm here as long as I can be. You guys, I'm going to talk to you as much as I can, but reminder, Super Chats really do help the channel, and they do put you front of the line. So if you're willing to donate, we will talk to you first and as soon as we can. So thank you to Bruce Taylor again for that. But let's kick it off with the top of the chat, shall we? Jameson Taylor tunes in, says, "Go Braves. We swept them." Stellar says he had never a doubt. Garrett Clemens says, "Let's freaking go. I'm so hype right now." Clayton McCullers says, "Chop on Braves." Joey Fox, "Awesome game." Corey Carter says, "So happy to say that I was wrong about the Braves not winning the division when they were 10.5 games back." You know what? There was a lot of people that thought when the Braves were 10.5 games back that there was no chance. I was a little concerned, I'm not going to lie to you. The guy that gets up here and tells you to be confident in the Braves, this Braves team, because I do believe in the talent on this team. Fundamentally, I think from the top to the bottom, this team is great. That being said, when they were 10.5 games back, you had reason to doubt, Corey. And it wasn't just you. A lot of fans were like, all right, let's start trading people. Very similar to how people handled it last season. Let's start trading people away. And instead, the Braves put their heads down. They did what they had to do, and they pulled out what looks to be a division win. It's not over yet. The Braves still have to find a win against Miami, but they have a huge advantage headed into this series. So it's not just you, Corey, but thanks for the comment. And, of course, thanks for your support of the channel. Skylar Baker says Swanson is on the post game. He should be. He had a great game and really a great series. Let's see. Yeah, this is not only a sweep, but it is the 100th win. That is from Robert Blackman. Thank you for that. This is the 100th win for the Braves. The last time they had a 100-win season, I believe, was 1993. For perspective, that's 6 years before I was born. Last year's team didn't have 90 wins. That is a huge deal, and it shows just how talented this team is. And to be honest with you, just how talented these Mets are. Because, look, I know they're our mortal enemy. They're the team we were facing against tonight. But this Mets team was a good team. And I think it sets up well for the Braves in the postseason, having to compete with someone like that in the division. It sets up well going into the postseason because the Braves have had to put their heads down. They've had to compete. They've had to play like their lives depended on it because, frankly, the team's chances of the postseason did depend on their play, especially in this last month. And they were able to pull it out and win. And credit to them, they did a great job. We have a super chat. This time it is from Skylar Baker. "This big sweep will help us against the Dodgers in the NLCS." You know what? Last year against the Dodgers, we did a lot of focusing on that. We did a lot of talking about that. I was at 2 of those games, and I was there for game 1 when Austin Riley walked it off. But the start of that game was so interesting because the Dodgers were gassed. They had to play against the Giants. They had to figure out who was going to go to the NLDS against the Braves. The NLCS, rather, against the Braves. They had to figure that out, and it came down to the wire. They had to pitch Scherzer for the last inning of that game, and he walked in game 1, gas, couldn't pitch, and it became a bullpen game. That's how that series started. That is what the Braves almost have avoided. Now, again, there's one more game. I'm not going to jinx anything. I'm not going to act like it's won yet because it's not. Job's not finished. But they have set themselves up for a lot of success. That series, of course, ended in dramatic fashion and sent the Braves to Houston for the World Series. Hopefully we'll see something similar to that this year. They're certainly playing like a contending team, and they certainly look like a contending team. So thank you to Skylar Baker for that super chat. Really do appreciate that. Really does support the channel. I thank you for that. We got a real active chat tonight. I do appreciate you guys tuning in. A lot of viewers tonight for obvious reasons. The Braves have now not only taken the lead in the National League East, but looks like they're going to take it for good. And they did not lead very much this year at all. Of course, Corey Carter mentioned a minute ago, they were 10.5 games back, but there were very few days that the Braves actually held first place, much less first place alone, which they now do over the Mets. And what a crazy turn of events, just from a standpoint of an observer, a crazy turn of events. You're talking about a team like the Mets who have held it really all year long. They have held on to that lead, and now what does it matter? You have one game to win. Your magic number is 1, and you are a 5th straight division champ. So credit to the Braves. You know what? Credit to the Mets. They had a great year and still might have a great run in the postseason. But credit to the Braves. This was a big-time sweep by the Braves. They knew they needed it, and they went out and did it. So credit to them. Joseph Alvarez tunes in, says, Mets versus Dodgers, who wins? Here's the thing. I don't know exactly how the brackets broke down. I'd have to really look at it. Depending on if it's a 5-7 game series, if it's a division series, those are only 5 games. Championship series are now 7. That is the difference here. If it's a division series, I would probably give the edge to the Mets usually. But after seeing the pitching performances of DeGrom and Scherzer and now Bassett, I'm not too comfortable doing that because they did not, they didn't have their clutch moment. DeGrom did not pitch well against us. Scherzer did not pitch well against us. And Bassett only went 2 and, a third? So I look at that and I probably give the edge to the Dodgers. And it's because they have more depth. If you go 7 games, they certainly have more depth. And, past those 3 pitchers I just mentioned, what do you got? Taijuan Walker, who gets shredded anytime he faces an offense with any kind of skill. You have Carlos Carrasco, who's been hurt on and off. I give the edge to the Dodgers there. That's just me. That is a super chat again from Joseph Alvarez. Remember, super chats do give you priority in the chat, and I really do appreciate it. The Padres, somebody mentioned it in the chat. The Padres very well may beat the Mets. There's been a lot of talk about what Yu Darvish may do against the Mets. We will have to wait and see. That will be an exciting series in itself, and we'll see how that plays out. But the good news is that it's looking like the Braves are not going to be in that scenario. It's looking like they're not going to be in a wild card spot, and that is a huge deal. I cannot overstate how huge of a deal that is and how much that could help the Braves in their quest to hopefully making it to another World Series. Again, guys, if you'll do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. It really does help me out and help me grow, and you guys have made that happen, and I can't appreciate that enough. Also, if you want a closer relationship with me, if you want to follow me closer, here is my social media, Twitter and Instagram. They're down at the bottom of the screen. I really suggest you check that out. Sometimes we put updates there. We show you behind-the-scenes stuff. We show you kind of what's coming up, what you can expect on the channel. Also, subscribe, all that good stuff. It really does help the channel grow. And, of course, it helps you keep a closer, watchful eye on us and, of course, all of Major League Baseball. We plan to do a lot throughout the postseason, so thank you for that. Let's see. Robert Wilson says, having the opportunity to win the division is absolutely fantastic, but it's all about winning out. Time to run it back. Absolutely. Last year was a lot of fun. I'd love to do it twice. Let's see what happens. There hasn't been a back-to-back champ in over 20 years. I say we change that. Hard Hat Jack says 100 wins and we're going to win the division. It's still time to go. Remember, guys, we still have that series with Miami. We got to find a win out of those 3 games, and I think we can do it. Make no mistake, I think we're favored to do it. That being said, I'd like to do it tomorrow. That would be ideal. If you do it tomorrow, you can rest your starters, you can rest your players, and you can just go ahead and secure it. You can just put it to rest. This is it. This is the end of it, and we are the division champs. That would be ideal. But at the end of the day, guys, even tomorrow, if we are to win tomorrow's game against Miami, job's not finished. We still have to go to the postseason, and we have to perform much like we did tonight. And if we do, I think we're going to be very successful. Chris Kaysen says, Braves on deck, showing up for the Braves community. Absolutely. Why would I not pop in tonight? I got to be honest with you. I kicked my friends out. They were all over here watching the game. I had to kick them all out because I wanted to come talk to you guys. I wanted to be here to talk to you guys because I know how big of a deal this series was. We've been covering it from the beginning of this series, really since before. You saw in the opening crawl, we have been talking about this series for a very long time, and rightfully so. I had this series circled on the calendar all year long. Even when the Braves were down 10.5 games, I knew this was going to be the last shot. And obviously, it stands out like a sore thumb on a schedule. That being said, we knew it, and we covered it, and I'm glad we did because I could not have scripted it any better. This was an absolute fun series to watch, and I'm glad we were here for it. Austin Nocho says, why have we not re-signed Dansby? I've gotten a lot of comments about this, especially on nights like this where Dansby performs like this and hits a big homer in a clutch situation, and he's really had a great series. A lot of people want to know, why haven't we re-signed Dansby? Why has this not happened yet? And I understand it completely. I absolutely understand it. Dansby is a fan favorite for obvious reasons. He's a great player, no doubt about it. That being said, there's a lot that goes into those negotiations. Part of that is the willingness to have those conversations during a season, which a lot of players don't like to do. I can tell you from firsthand experience that I know of players that don't really want to have those conversations. I assume Dansby doesn't want to, because otherwise I feel like we would have already kind of heard about those conversations. And I think it does help the player not have to worry about it so much during the season. You want that player to be confident every time he enters the field. Dansby obviously wants that. That being said, I hope we re-sign Dansby. I think he's a great player. His roots are here in Georgia. I think that would be ideal. That being said, it is a business. We're going to have to see what happens. We've seen this play out before. I've said many times on this channel this year, I would love to tell you that Dansby Swanson, without a doubt, is going to come back. That being said, I've told you that before, and I was wrong. And we all know who I'm talking about. So, I'm not comfortable saying that. If I had to favor one way or the other, I would say that I would probably lean towards the idea that Dansby Swanson will be returning. But at the end of the day, it is a business. Understand that. As much as I'd like to say Dansby's coming back, we will have to find out this offseason. That being said, we're celebrating tonight. We're not talking about the offseason. We're talking about tonight. Because again, what a night for the Atlanta Braves. You cannot script it any better. Jesse Lowe says, unbelievable series. I cannot believe they're going to do this. Yeah, you know what? I hate to say that I had faith, but I did. You know, I really thought that the Braves could do this. I thought it was a little unlikely, but I thought, you know, if the Braves, like Ron Washington said, if the Braves play their brand of baseball like they do, I thought this was possible, and I'm glad to say that I did. I believe we have a super chat. Yep, Philip Nichols tunes in. We have a super chat. He says, let's go get this division, then back-to-back NLCS and World Series. Yeah, that would be ideal. That would be wonderful for the Braves to do, to be back-to-back champs. Would be great for the payroll, not going to lie to you. But it would also just be great for the fans. I mean, for you guys, for me, for all of us. It would be great for the team itself. You know, there's a couple championship rings sitting underneath those helmets back there. You know, we want another one. And I think it would be great for the team, and I think it would be great for the city of Atlanta to go back-to-back and maybe win this one in the city of Atlanta. That would be ideal. Let's see what we got. Garrett Clemens says, we really need to re-sign Swanson. Just talked about that. I'm not going to go that again. Vision Music Works tunes in. Good to hear from you. Oren Griswold says, no need to rush Strider back anymore. Let's go. There is no need. I'm glad we didn't do it now looking into it. Now, going into this series, I'm not going to lie to you. I was one of those guys going, look, I know Morton's a great pitcher, but I really would prefer Strider. And to be honest with you, I still would have probably preferred Strider. But Morton did his job tonight, did what he needed to do, handed it off to the bullpen with a lead, and we got the job done. So credit to Morton. And, we'll look forward to seeing Strider in the postseason. That's where we are. Captain Spartan says, I'm confident that we'll win, of course, but we can't take the Marlins for granted. They've been playing spoiler to the Brewers, and before that, they beat on the Mets. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's why I keep saying, these games are important. It is not over. The job is not finished. We can celebrate tonight, but I want to win tomorrow. That's what I would really like, to just go ahead and put it to rest. Don't even give the Mets a chance to breathe. Put it to rest. And hopefully that will be the case. Corey Carter wants to know who starts tomorrow. Bryce ? That is an option. Odorizzi is an option. I would prefer to see Bryce. I think we're all aware of that. We've done a lot of talking about Bryce Elder for obvious reasons. The kid's a great talent. Bryce Elder, we've talked about him possibly pitching in the postseason. I think that is still a viable option. I think it very well may happen. And if you're giving me the option of Bryce Elder or Jake Odorizzi, I'm taking Bryce Elder all day long at this point in time. You're looking at that ERA and that strikeout per walk rate. I think that's what you're looking at there. And look, he's not the best pitcher ever. Otherwise he'd be pitching every fifth day. But he throws strikes. He has 5 pitches, and the dude could be nasty. We all saw what he did against the Nationals a couple weeks ago. Hopefully he can do that against the Marlins tomorrow night if he is to pitch. I don't believe they have released anybody. Released a name yet. They probably wanted to see how they escaped tonight, but they obviously got the job done, so I'm sure that we're going to find out sooner rather than later. And to be honest with you, I've been so focused on tonight that I haven't bothered to give it a look either. That being said, I'm looking it up right now. Let's see what we got here. Braves probable pitchers. It's loading. The internet is the internet. All right. It looks like Bryce Elder is probable tomorrow. Now, that doesn't necessarily guarantee anything, but he is probable So we'll, of course, see with that and take it in stride. But, yeah, if Bryce Elder pitches tomorrow night, I'm fine with that. I'm absolutely fine with that. I think he's going to do a great job. And, again, this is the Marlins we're talking about, not necessarily anybody that we need to be that concerned about. But in a series like this, we want the win, and we want it sooner rather than later. I think Bryce Elder gives you the best chance to do that currently under the current situations. Jonathan Collins with a super chat says, let's go. Let's do this thing. I just did the one-chip challenge. Look, man, absolutely, Jonathan, thank you for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. It's been fun to watch. It really has. And my apartment has been absolutely just full of people these past couple nights watching it with me. My whole group of friends has come over every night because they knew how big of a series this was. You know how big of a series this is. I knew how big of a series this is. And, of course, we didn't want to miss it. And glad we all watched it together. Glad we got to celebrate together. And glad me and you get to celebrate together as well. Richard Davis says, had thought Dansby was a 15 to 18 million a year. Now it looks like he is in the 22 to 25 million a year. Losing him will be worse than losing Freeman. Dansby is a vocal spark. I understand your frustration. I get it. Or not even necessarily frustration. I understand what you're saying. Look, we don't know where the payroll is going to be. I said the other night after the Morton news, after his contract got updated and got extended, I said that, I think that's an indication that payroll is increasing, and I think Swanson's going to be a part of that. I still think he's going to have to take a hometown discount to some degree just because he's going to, like Chipper Jones said about Freddie, he's going to be courted by all the pretty girls out there, the Dodgers, the Yankees. They're going to be talking to him without a doubt. And, they're going to be throwing out prices that the Braves may or may not be able to match. I don't know. That being said, I think he wants to be in Atlanta, and I think Atlanta wants to bring him back without a doubt. Let's see. You guys are being active tonight. Do me a favor. A lot of you guys are tuning in late. Do me a favor. Like the video. And if you're new, subscribe to the channel. It really does help, and I really do appreciate it. So thank you for that. And, of course, you guys have been so active. I'm reading all your comments, trying to anyway. But you guys have been absolutely phenomenal these past few days. I can't thank you enough. And truly, I thank you for tuning in tonight. Corey Carter says, Charlie showed his veteran mindset tonight. He did not give up the big inning. He was on the ropes, but he did not go down. Yeah, Charlie did his job. He did exactly what he is supposed to do. That is what you want out of that guy. That is a true back end of the rotation guy. Jake Odorizzi is a placeholder. All due respect to him. He is a placeholder. Charlie Morton is the guy that you put in that fourth or fifth spot in the rotation with confidence. And look, I know that doesn't sound like much, but hear me out. Think of the rotation right now. Max Fried, Kyle Wright, Spencer Strider, right? Beyond that, you have now Charlie Morton, Jake Odorizzi, Bryce Elder, Kyle Muller. You put Charlie Morton at that fourth spot, secure it, you got one spot to worry about. You got Bryce Elder, Kyle Muller, whoever else you want to throw into that mix, Mike Soroka, whoever else you really want to consider that for next year. That's why they extended. That guy's a back end of the rotation veteran, and I think can provide a lot of value, again, in the starting rotation or maybe even the bullpen if it goes that far. You know what? I think he can provide value. And a lot of people are going to question that move because it's $20 million, but he was going to get that anyway. They were just extending it. Let's see. Corey Carter mentions this. Kenley came in and shut them down tonight. I was happy to see that. Last night, Kenley came in and shut the door on him. Tonight, Kenley came in and shut the door on him. Not going to foreshadow anything necessarily, but it does remind me of Will Smith last year. It does remind me of it, how much he clicked in when he needed to and didn't give up a run. And look, I know he didn't have the best appearance in Game 1 of this series, but if he can click in like that for the postseason, we have something to be excited about. At the end of the day, guys, as much grief as we give Kenley, he has performed this year. He is leading the league in saves. He's one of the greatest of all time to ever do it. You have to remember that. But yeah, good to see that he's clicking in gear now for sure. Bobby Mean says, Tyler, the road to the World Series runs through us. We are going to repeat as World Series champs. Look, I'm here for it. You don't have to tell me. I am more than here for it. I want it to happen. Let's see what we got. Let's see. Russell says, it's a marathon that we are now in the sprint of. Go Braves. Absolutely. Chris Kaysen, huge shout out to the Braves relief pitching. Totally shut down immense offense. All three very important games. Without a doubt, guys. You guys are being so active tonight, it's getting hard for me to kind of keep up with it. Again, If I miss you, I apologize. Super chats are honestly the best way to guarantee a response. It's only on nights like this that I really have to enforce that. But yeah, super chats are really the way to do it for sure. Martise Moore, that looks like a new name to me. If you're new, please subscribe. He says, "Let's go Braves." Clayton McCullers, why do you start all 3 Marlins games now that we have swept the Mets? Why do you start all 3 Marlins games now that we have swept the Mets? I don't know what you're asking there, but the Marlins series is still a big deal. I mean, you still have to win 1 just to mathematically eliminate the Mets. The magic number is 1. If you win 1, the Mets are clearly mathematically eliminated. If the Marlins manage to sweep, then the Mets can still walk away the division champs. Now, the Braves can set their own destiny by winning 1 game against the Marlins and completely shutting them down, which I believe they can. Let's see. Courtney Conaway says nobody expected that. He also says, anybody heard anything about Strider? Yeah, Strider is set. He's not throwing yet, but he is probably going to be ready for the first postseason series in the division series, more than likely. If it was the wild card series, I'd be a little bit concerned. But being that it's looking like it's going to be the division series, I think we're going to be fine. I think he's going to be back. Let's see. Jorge Sapero says Austin Riley not grabbing that ball in the 3rd inning is one of the plays of the game. Yeah, I was sitting in there. My buddy's I love him to death, but he is quite the fan. Okay, he's a fan with some hot takes that don't make a lot of sense sometimes. And he doesn't think that Austin Riley is the best fielder, but that right there shows you how good Austin Riley really is. Oren Griswold says, write Dansby a blank check. Let's see. Skylar Baker says, nah, the Mets are done for. Braves Baseball Edit says, imagine the Braves being swept by Miami. Don't put that into the universe, please. We'll see. Bruce Taylor says, I know we haven't needed him, but I would love to see Tyler Matzik get some action. Dude was straight savage last playoffs and a bona fide Dodger killer. Matzik had his struggles. Again, a friend of the channel. We love Matzik here at On Deck. That being said, in this series, if you win tomorrow night, I want you to pitch everybody that has struggled. I want to see them all. I want to see Kenley. I want to see Matzik. I want to see Colin McHugh, Jesse Chavez, anybody that you have any concern, Oda Rizzi, anybody that you have any concern about. Kyle Muller, Bryce Elder. See what they can provide. That's what I want to see. That's really why I want to win tomorrow night. I want to see those guys, and I want to see what they can give us come the postseason. And that's kind of where I'm at with Tyler Matzik. I really want to see him pitch here so that we know what he's going to be once we eventually do face the Dodgers, if that is to happen. Chris Kaysen says, the Braves finally able to break through the Mets win-loss record when it counts the most. Congrats to everyone in Braves country and the Braves organization. Without a doubt, Frey Morg tunes in. He says he called the sweep. Great win for the Braves. I do remember you calling sweep. Good call there, buddy. Foster Bamford says, feeling like the 90s all over again. Yeah. Mark Narmore, we haven't won anything yet, but the Braves will be hard to beat playing at their current level. Yeah, and they were hard to beat last year playing at the level they were in the postseason. Elijah Smith, as long as we do close it out of Miami, the extra time could be huge in getting Strider back. And Ozzy. Don't forget about Ozzy. Levita Lies says Mets complain about not having Starling Marte as reason for their losses, but the Braves haven't had Ozzy, so it's how you fill the roles with the injured list. Braves have done better with that. Yeah, look, here's the thing. It's a marathon, right? We talk about that all the time. It's true, and part of that is the injuries. Last year, how many injuries did the Braves have? Ronald Acuna, Soroka. I mean, we you all know. I mean, there were left and right. But, you get to the end of the year, you face the Dodgers, and all of a sudden Justin Turner gets hurt. And Dodger fans come out there and say, well, Justin Turner was hurt. That's the only reason the Braves beat us in the NLCS. Let them think it. We know the truth. That's what I would leave it at. Let's see. Jonathan Collins says, let me see. Skylar Baker, do you think they can carry this great baseball through October? Look, when you have momentum, there's nothing you can't do. That's how I feel. We saw what they did last year. We saw with what players they did it with last year. I think they can do it. I really do. John Kruger says, Tyler, I never gave up on the division, even though it was 10.5 games back at one point. Me neither, and I'm glad we didn't, buddy. Absolutely. Robert Cullen says the Mets need to sweep and the Braves need to lose all 3 to lose the division. Yeah, so the odds are certainly in our favor. Johnny Mobley says it's his first time here. Well, if it's your first time here, do me a favor. Like the video, subscribe, and of course hit the bell for notifications so that you know next time we go live as well. We keep up with the Braves. Of course, we keep up with all of Major League Baseball. So if you're out there watching for the first time, or if you're a regular, do me a favor. Like the video. That's the most important thing you can do. But also subscribe so that you can come back to us. And of course, if you want to, you can also follow me on social media right there. So thank you, Johnny Mobley, for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. PlayStation Forever Gamer says, if my Braves get the division, who do we play first? Well, that's still kind of up in the air. I haven't really looked at the bracket lately. I guess I can try to pull that up real quick. Look, we were worried about the wild card, so we haven't really thought about it too much. To tell you the God honest truth, we just haven't. But I'll try to pull it up for you, and we can take a look at that if I can get it. No promises. But yeah, the important thing here is that the Braves are certainly not going to be in a wild card series if they can win against the Dodgers. That being said, we'll see kind of what it is. But here, I got it right here. Maybe I can get it. Maybe. If not, here's what I'll do. Hang on just a second, guys. I'm working on it, I promise. I want to pull up this bracket, and we're going to look at it and talk about what's next for the Braves, and, of course, what they got headed into the postseason, and, we'll see what it is for sure. Sorry, guys. I'm looking. Got to set up. A lot of this stuff isn't pre-planned. While I'm doing this, let's answer another question, shall we? Let's see. Ronnie Redmond, wonder who he's related to, says Kenley looking much better. Saved all 3 games in the series. Got saved number 40. Still makes me a little bit uneasy. Naturally, right? And I mean, I hate to say it, but Kenley is going to continue to make us uneasy until the season's out because of the history, because of what he's done all year, because of the shakiness that tends to happen. I think we all like Kenley as a person, but that's not really the problem, is it? It's more so the continued worry of whether or not he's going to be there and continue to perform. And all credit to him, Kenley's actually had a pretty good year. And that's what's so sad about it is it hasn't been just a terrible year. It really hasn't. But a lot of people are going to continue to give him grief as much as I don't want them to. It's going to happen. So if we can avoid that and kind of give him a little bit more confidence, because he's kind of deserved it. I mean, let's be real. The past 2 games he's looked a lot better. Not to say that that's necessarily going to continue, but he has looked really a lot better. And if that can continue, then I think we're in for a fun ride. But again, we're not going to know until we know, right? All right, so here is the bracket. If I can get it going. I'm trying, guys. I apologize. This is the bracket as of right now. This is, of course, released 26 minutes ago. This is what we got. You see the Braves there. They have a bye in the first round. They're going to play the winner currently between the Cardinals and the Phillies. That could switch around at any moment. Of course, we all know that the Brewers and the Phillies have been going back and forth of whether or not who gets that spot. Doesn't really matter. But whoever wins that game between whoever is the 3 seed and the 6 seed will currently face the Braves in the first round, or in the division series, rather. The winner of that will go on to face the winner of the Dodgers and whoever wins between the Padres and the Mets, which, if I had to give an edge to anybody, I'd probably go Mets there. The Padres don't have a ton of chemistry, if I'm honest with you. I don't think so. But beyond that, it's really anybody's thing. If you want to flip over to the American side, obviously you see the Yankees there. They're going to play the winner of currently the Guardians and the Rays. And, of course, the Astros, the team that we faced off against last year in the World Series, will take on the winner currently of the Mariners and the Blue Jays. So that will be a fun postseason. That is just current. There are still 3 games that every team has to play to really find out how this is going to shape up. But currently, this is the situation. So I hope this gives you some idea of kind of what the Braves are dealing with. This is it. So you see, the Braves would be currently where the Mets are. That is where the Braves would be if we did not win tonight and move on. This is kind of where they would be. They would have to go through the Padres and then face the Dodgers. So ideally, that's not what you want to do. You don't want to go in, use Fried, use Wright, use Strider, and then start off game 1 with Morton, and then go into whoever you want to pitch in the 5th slot there, likely Odorizzi, Elder, or Muller, more than likely Odorizzi, and then you'd have to start game 3 with Fried. That would be the case, and that is no longer the case. You get a fresh start, and you get the winner of, again, the Cardinals and the Phillies as of right now. Out of those teams, if I'll be honest with you, I'd rather face the Phillies. I don't particularly love the idea of facing the Cardinals, even though I would probably favor them there. I think I would rather face the Phillies. We know them more. We've pitched them before. We've hit them before. And of course, we have the Cardinals as well, but the Cardinals are a little bit more pesky. They're a little bit more difficult to deal with. I would more than likely like to face the Phillies there, even though I think the Cardinals will probably win that series. With Waino on the mound, and of course all their young talent over there, and not only that, but Pujols is hitting unreal right now. I don't know that I'm necessarily comfortable facing them, and not to mention the 2019 flashbacks. Don't really want to deal with all that. But again, on the other side of the bracket, in the American League, you have two teams that are going to be difficult to deal with in the Yankees and the Astros. Really, that whole side is pretty interesting because the Rays every year somehow find a way to make postseason magic. The Guardians are a good team. The Mariners, they've had the longest postseason drought in all of North America. Toronto, of course, a lot of interesting things there. A lot of young talent. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., a young Biggio, Bichette. They've been a little postseason drought, had a postseason drought too, so that's interesting. And they have two really good teams on the American League side. Of course, there in Judge's heroics, it kind of gets overlooked that the Yankees had one heck of a first half, and the Astros are, of course, a very good team. They were in the World Series only last year going up against us. So, of course, the Braves' work is still cut out for them. It is far from over. And if they're going to make a real run, they're going to have to compete. And if you can get past whoever that you face in the division series, you're likely going to have to get past the Dodgers at that point. And we've done it before. We can do it again, but it's still a long road ahead. So I hope you're ready for it. That is going to conclude the postseason picture provided to you by Scott's, apparently. But yeah, we are still going to talk more with you. I appreciate the question there. I don't remember who asked it, but I do appreciate it. That was the postseason. That's kind of what it's looking like right now. Could change as early as tomorrow. But we will see. That is looking like what it'll be as of right now. I'm going to skip down a little bit. Eric Paz gets in there and says, "What's up, bro? Let's go Mets." Look, if you're a Mets fan, I hope you'll subscribe. That's all I can say. Leary says, "I think we trim off Adrianza and the AAA player we have on roster right now. That leaves only a single spot between Elder or Odorizzi, in my opinion, and I trust Elder more personally." It'll probably be decided by matchups, but personally, I would probably agree. You may see somebody get moved from the pen out of there too, possibly. I don't know who. I'd really have to look at it. I'll look at the postseason roster this week, probably once we know for sure that the Braves are going to be in the division series, and I'll have a little bit better idea. But I would personally, I would rather have Elder. That being said, I wouldn't question the decision to bring in Odorizzi just for experience reasons alone. Let's see. I kind of had to scroll down, everybody. Here we go. Skylar Baker had a super chat. I apologize. I did not see it. Who is the DH in the playoffs? I would, they went with Ozuna today, and he didn't play the full game. I would probably lean towards Contreras, even though I think they might split duty at catcher, depending on how much we use d'Arnaud there. I would lean towards Contreras most of the time, but, you have a lot of options there. You have Grossman, you have Rosario, in left field. One of those guys could be DH. You have Ozuna, obviously. You have Vaughn Grissom, who, yes, he struggled, but he is still an option. You have, and of course Ozuna. So you have a lot of options there. I would lean towards Contreras if d'Arnaud's playing. And honestly, on the days d'Arnaud isn't playing, I want d'Arnaud at DH. But that being said, Ozuna does have a space on this team, and you know what? He can still hit it to the moon. So we will see. Austin Andre gets in just now. I am still in shock. All caps, by the way. We swept them. I actually can't believe it. Yeah, I understand. I promise. William Baker says, in some small part of my being, I feel bad for Mets fans right now. Not enough to change it, of course, but those guys are dying inside at the moment. Has anyone heard from Frank Fleming? Has he posted anywhere? Because I would love to see it. That guy, I feel terrible for him. But, of course, that's the game. You hate to see it. You guys have been so active tonight, and I really do appreciate it. We aren't going to be on here too much longer, probably till right at 11:30 Eastern. But you guys have been so active tonight. William Baker gets in here. He kind of sums it up perfectly. Who could have scripted this? Just amazing what these guys can do. They have no fear, and we seem to have a team of big moment players. Absolutely. I completely agree with you. On the go with CeeLo. What are those Mets fans that were doing? Where are those Mets fans that were doing the chop in New York? Where are y'all now? Yeah, they got real quiet. There were a few moments. There was a few moments tonight where they showed Mets fans, and no matter how bad we feel for them, it's kind of nice to see Mets fans upset. No offense to you. Yeshaya Zahner says, I'd guess Contreras and Travis usually with Roseman Rosario off the bench depending on platoon splits. Exactly. Let's see. Maverick says, hey, Tyler, CeeLo, Buddy thank you, Buddy, for everything. The stream is done. It's so great. Tyler, I'd love to see Matzik as well. Check out my page, Maverick Sports. I work with all streamers. Will do. In due time. I would definitely give that a check. I wish I could write it down. I don't have anything in front of me right now. But yeah, I'll check it out. If I don't, just comment on this video after the stream or comment on another video, community page, something. I'll get to it. Might not be tonight, but thank you for that. Let's see. You guys have been so active tonight, and it's crazy. Let's see. Jake Hobby says, he said Dansby will probably say... I know that's Frank Fleming. I know that... Frank Fleming got on there tonight. My dad mentioned that. I just remembered when I saw it. He said that Dansby Swanson would probably sign a 10-year contract for $10 million. That's great. That's great. Somebody needs to hire that man. I know Barstool already did, but somebody needs to hire that man to write scripts for somebody. Yeah, John McCoy says, no TikTok so far from Frank the Tank. A lot of tweets, though, shooting down Mets fans that are not as upset as he is. Look, guys, it's an act. Let's be real. It's an act. I know there are real feelings, but a lot of the presentation is an act. Blair McBride said, what about that idiot Sal saying a few months ago the season was over and the Mets were going to win? I saw that back then. I chose not to comment on it. Figured I'd let the Braves do the talking for me, and they did that tonight. Machete Moonlight. Sal says he blocked Frank according to his latest tweet. Absolutely. What happened to Vaughn Grissom, and will he have a role in the playoffs? Hard to say. We talked about that last night. That is from Gavin. We talked about that last night. Let me see what I can find. Let me see. Sorry about that, guys. I have this kind of screenshotted, so give me just a second. Basically, he struggled offensively. He had errors in the field. He's a rookie. Things happen. It is what it is. I don't think it's anything to really buy into for his future. But I think ultimately it's just the moments were getting a little too big for him. They probably didn't want to pitch him or hit him in the postseason just yet. But that's really all it was. I think he had like a 167 batting average, and Arcia was killing the ball. That's ultimately what it was. Let's see. Foster Bamford says, what do we go after if Dansby signs elsewhere? Well, the good news is that the free agency market is actually pretty active. Let's see what we got here. 2022 or 2023 with MLB. Let's see what we got here at the shortstop position. I think Trey Turner is available. That being said, that you're going to have to pay that guy too. I would probably rather just keep Dansby. Let's see what we got, though. Position, sorted by position. Yeah, Trey Turner, Dansby Swanson, Jose Iglesias, Diaz for Houston. Tim Anderson is a free agent. A-Ray is a free agent. Elvis Andrus. There's guys there. Jose Peraza. Your top two, obviously, are Trey Turner, Dansby Swanson. Don't forget Carlos Correa is probably going to opt out of his contract as well. So the free agency market there is pretty full. That being said, I would rather you just get you would just get Dansby Swanson. But if you don't, you also have the hometown option of Vaughn Grissom because he is currently in the organization as well. Yeshaya Zahner, I'm so sorry. I am terrible with pronunciation sometimes. Says Grissom fell off a little, but I think he still gets a playoff spot. I would probably agree with that. But also remember, in his first year, Austin Riley didn't get a playoff spot. And if you remember, Austin Riley carried the Braves for a month. I don't know if you remember that, but he that first year, this video is his first home run, We watched that, and it was 18 homers in the span of a month. He absolutely demolished the baseball for a month. And then Major League Baseball figured him out. Maybe that's happening with Vaughn Grissom to some degree. Maybe it's becoming a little too much for him right now, but even if he doesn't get a playoff spot, that does not mean anything for his future. Keep that in mind. We've seen Austin Riley become a great player since then, and I think we're going to continue to see that with Vaughn Grissom as well. You guys have been so great tonight, by the way. I really thank you for tuning in. Let's see. On the go, CeeLo asks a fair question. Problem is, if they don't trust Grissom in these type of games, is he ready to be our everyday shortstop? I would say no. I would say no. I don't think he is. I think he might get forced into that role, which, is that fair to him? No. He's had a year and a half in professional baseball, not Major League Baseball. We're talking about professional baseball since single A, since rookie ball. So, no, I don't think it's necessarily fair to him, but he may get forced into that role, and the rest of the team may have to carry him. But, that's for another day to discuss, really. And we're going to have to wait for the offseason and really talk about what's going to happen with shortstop. We're going to wrap it up with that, guys. The stream is kind of battling some signal issues, and I can tell it already. That being said, we've had a great night tonight. Braves had a great night tonight. Thank you all for tuning in. You guys made this a great stream. Please continue to like this video on your way out. It really does help it out. And, of course, share this. Send it to a friend who's celebrating alongside you. Tell them about the channel. Share the channel with friends. Share it on Facebook. Share it on Twitter. Share it on Instagram. Whatever. Just share it. Get it out there. It really does help. And, of course, your support always helps. And I think everybody that super chat tonight, thank you. And, of course, thank you to my regular watchers. Thank you to the new people that subscribed tonight, the new people that were active tonight. Really does help me out here at the channel. And, of course, what a series by the Atlanta Braves. Just one more time, what a series by the Atlanta Braves, and what a night and series by these two guys. And you know what? It's not over just yet. 3 more games in Miami. We got to find a way to win it, and I'm sure the Braves will, hopefully, tomorrow night. With that out of the way, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you next time right here at On Deck.